Motivators, Timothy McCain here. I want to speak to you about something that will follow you for the rest of your life. You got to heed to the words that I'm speaking to you today, that I'm trying to share, because if you can grasp this now, you can save yourself so much pain, so much agony. You can save yourself and your children and your future the opportunity to not be inflicted by your yesterday. And what I am talking about is something that will follow you wherever you go. It's not bound by longitude and latitude. It's not bound by time. It is constantly fed, it's constantly rehearsed, and the only thing that can change its future is by the actions you make today. And what I'm talking about is your reputation. Your reputation is so important. Your reputation is your legacy. Your reputation is your name. And maybe this doesn't mean something to other people, but it means a whole lot to me. Your reputation, your legacies, family, is something that you will leave behind. It's something that when your name is being spoken and your child or your son is carried over that last name, or when you get married and your wife takes your last name, or you give your last name, that last name should be connected to something. I believe it's very important for us to give attention to our legacy, us to give attention to our reputation, for us to give attention to our names. So I want you to ask yourself a question. What's the reputation of your name? When you go into the work, how do people think about you? When you leave, how do people describe you? When you're around a group of people and they're trying to tell each other about you, how do they describe you? And that could be a great indication that maybe you need to give attention to your reputation, to your legacy, and to your name. I believe it's super important. It's very important. It's imperative, because your reputation will follow you. We watch it in the news today. In today time, actions that's been done on social media, on a tweet, things people have said, or things that may have happened years ago that did not think was a big deal, that very well may have been a mistake, or it could have been an intentional choice that is now arising into their life today. And now their reputation, their legacy, their life is on the line because of a choice that they made yesterday that they did not think will follow them into their today. Your reputation is important. Your choices matter. So I want you to take yourself to school. Go ahead and sit down in the classroom of your past. Take out the notes and jot down the actions that you may be making, because maybe you can redeem your future by assessing the choices you're making today. Your legacy, your reputation, your name is important, family. Who you choose, your actions you choose to be, the choices you make today will affect your tomorrow. You're planting seed. Your choice, your yes or your no, your decisions is seed into the soil of your future, that it will reap a harvest, and it's guaranteed to. I guarantee you, if you seed negativity, you will reap negativity. If you seed positivity, you'll reap positivity. You reap what you sow. And what your choice, if you will only think about the choices you make, okay, if I make this choice, and if the future is soil, and I'm seeding into this, what type of harvest will I expect later? Man, I just think it's so important. Your reputation is so important. So maybe you may hear what I'm saying, and you beat your chest like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care what people think. I'm just gonna do me. Well, that is cool from an extent, and I understand where you're coming from. You should not walk in the fear of man. However, you should care what people think. And better yet, to make it into more individualized, and maybe it's not a bunch of people, you should care what your son thinks. You should care what your daughter thinks. You should care what your wife or your husband may think, because their lives are connected to your name. So what legacy are you leaving? What legacy are you building? What are you bringing to the table that they will eat from yesterday, will follow them the rest of their life? Maybe some of you made choices back in high school, and their choice is still following you. Maybe you made it a wrong decision, and it's still following you today. When you walk into a room, people call you by your mistake. They call you by your actions. Aren't you the girl that done this and this and this and that? Aren't you the guy that done this and this and this and that? And you're like, man, will you just forget it? But what the problem is they have connected your your actions, and they erased your name. And now, before calling you by who you are, they recognize you by what you may have done. Listen, it's an ugly reality, but it is the truth. That's why it's so important for you to protect your reputation, protect your name, protect your legacy. But the great thing about it is that you may not be able to change the past, but you can change the future. You can change your tomorrow by giving attention to your today, by protecting your reputation. And that is by giving attention to your choices. There was an inventor way back in the day. His name was Alfred Nobel. He has a very intriguing, crazy story about how he drastically made a shift and change due to the reputation of his name. Alfred Nobel was the inventor of dynamite. Crazy story. You read it. He grew up among some other inventors, and I believe he was around this thing called nitroglycerin, I think it's the word, but yet it was dangerous, super dangerous, and he had it in his hand. He fell and tripped by accident, and he realized, man, I found the missing ingredient, which I believe was sawdust. And then he created dynamite, and dynamite was used for many reasons, for building or for plowing, or going through rocks and whatnot, making a way. But yet in the hands of the military, in the hands of people who desired to do ill at that time, they took dynamite and they were using it for weaponry. People are dying left and right. Something happened where an accident took place where people thought a family member died, or I believe that was the story. Someone died, but they, instead of putting that person's name, they put Alfred Nobel's name, and they saw the headline, his legacy, what people assumed who he was. He saw what people's vision towards him. They saw who they thought he was. He saw at that moment in that newsletter, and it said Alfred Nobel, the merchant of death. He saw his legacy. He didn't invent these things with the intention to use it in those regards, but many people took it and he gave him accolades for how many people was destroyed through his invention called dynamite, even though that was not his original intent. So he made a decision at that moment: I will not be known by the merchant of death. I will not be known. My name will not be dragged through the sand or through the dirt by someone who came to take. No, but my name will be known for someone to give. So he made a decision. He sat down and he wrote down. He wrote some different tiers from peace and all these different areas, and he wrote the Nobel Prize. So now when you think about the Nobel Peace Prize, you think about where it is right now and how it's so much connected to humanitarian and philanthropy and all this great acts of compassion and kindness and world-changing realities. But that name that is now connected to something great used to be connected to something destructive. And what does this radical story tell us is that you have the opportunity to change your name. You can't change your past. You'll lose sleep thinking over that. But you can change your future. And so I encourage you, give attention to your reputation. Because by far after you leave, your reputation will still be here. And people may not be able to keep you physically alive once you pass and you're dead and you're in their grave. But you best believe your name will still have life vibrated through the vocal cords of many other people as they speak about the type of person that you may have been. I want you to ask yourself this question. If you were allotted the opportunity that Alfred Nobel had, where he was able to read the couple of word headlines on his newspaper, what would people say about you? Protect your reputation. Do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe for weekly videos and family motivators. We're going to change the world together. This channel is an oasis of hope and a desert of hopelessness. And I'm believing that after you watch these videos, you will be encouraged to change the world. Let's do it together. Bye.